Hey friends, it's Elizabeth. Just got back from New York and huge requested video from this trip. We had the best time. We ventured out beyond Disney. We actually were planning on venturing out beyond Disney, but then the pandemic hit and then we had to regroup and stay close to home and stay in our state and enjoyed our state. But we have wanted to venture out, and now that our kids are getting older, we wanted to check out new places, and New York was one of the places at the top of our list. I feel like I've already been there before we went because, you see it in movies and TV, and we had a packed week. We were there for 5 days, and anyone who saw my photos were like, wow, you did New York. Can we have your itinerary? Can I have all your information? And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to compile it of how did I put our trip together? And then hopefully it can help you plan your trip to New York. So this is not coming from an expert. This is coming from someone who loves to plan, loves to travel, and I want to share with you our tips. So I'm going to share with you how to plan your trip to New York if you're planning your first one, like a typical touristy site full of all the things that you want to see in Manhattan. Version of a trip to New York. So there are tons of videos on YouTube from people who live there that can give more tips. And I'm actually going to link the ones that I watched that I found to be helpful. So I'm just going to get into it. I have 6 different tips, different headings, and we're just going to get into it. I will have a couple other videos in this series. I will be sharing our hotel and our review of our hotel. I'm going to do a video on what would we do next time, because we definitely are planning to go back. And then also, what did I bring in my purse? That's one of the things that I was looking for in a YouTube video and I couldn't find. What do people carry in their bag when they go? I was very nervous about pickpockets or safety or that kind of thing. All right, so let's get started. So number 1, I felt like it was very daunting at first. How do I plan a trip to New York? I want us to see everything we want to see. How many days? So when I researched it, it says between 3 and 5. After going, I would say probably right in between, I would do 4. We did 5 and we were just about ready to go on the 4th day. But because we went for Thanksgiving and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and we flew, we couldn't just hop in the car and decide to go. So we stayed. But 4, we were kind of ready to come home at that point. But 3 to 5 is definitely a good place to start. Of course, you could go longer and you could do less. But what I would recommend is the very first thing you do before even going is figure out what's happening while you're there. So figure out what time of year you're going to go. So we plan to go Thanksgiving week. So obviously Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But what else is happening in the city that week? What shows are playing? What attractions are open? What sightseeing things are open? When are they closed? Because a lot of things were closed Thanksgiving Day. So kind of figured out what's going on, what's happening that time. And then I made a list of what was important to us. So I would Google top things to see in New York, YouTube videos, sorry, I've got puppies walking around, top things to do in New York. And then I would make a list of all the things that piqued my interest and then would bring it to my family and go, what do you guys think? Which one do you want to do? What do you like? And then there's only so many hours in the day, so much time in the day. So we couldn't see everything. So if there are towers to see, let's take Empire State Building, for example, there is also the Chrysler Building. There is also Top of the Rock. So we looked at all of those and picked one. So we picked Empire State Building, but they all are incredible. They have different price points. They have different advantages and disadvantages. And so we looked at all that and picked our top one. Same thing with shows. Oh, you could just spend all your time going to Broadway shows and musicals and the Rockettes and all the things. So we looked at it and was like, okay, if we could only see one show, what would be the best for our family? So I definitely wanted to see Music Man, and I found out after the fact, after we booked our tickets to Aladdin, that Hugh Jackman was playing in it. There's the Rockettes, as I mentioned. There was Lion King. There's Wicked. Those were some of the ones that were on the top of our list, but we really looked at it and what would be best for the 4 of us as a family. And again, Broadway shows are very expensive. That was the most expensive thing we did while we were there besides flight and our hotel and souvenirs. But as far as attractions and sightseeing. So what I suggest is look at the items that are and then pick one. Same thing with museums. Hello, this is Chevy. There was so many, and I just knew as a family we wanted to go to one, and I didn't think the attention span of my 12-year-old and just visiting multiple museums wasn't something we wanted to do on this trip. We wanted to pick one, so we picked the Natural History Museum. It's in the Night of the Museum movie, and you know, it's just, we had some references from movies, and I know my daughter would love that one. So that's what I did. So map it out. So figure out what is available in New York, write it all down, and then pick one from each category. That's what we did. Okay, so the number 2, the next thing I did was map it out. So once I had my list of all the things we wanted to see, which I will share with you at the end of this video, I'll share the itinerary of everything we did, and maybe I'll do a separate video too of just that, so it's a little bit shorter. So what I did then was map it out. I figured out, okay, we want to see Statue of Liberty. What other things that are near the Statue of Liberty are that direction, so that we save money on transportation and save time and figure out what is near there. So for example, Statue of Liberty is downtown Manhattan. It's south, it's all the way down, and I'm probably getting it wrong because I'm not an avid New Yorker, but Brooklyn Bridge wasn't too far. The 9/11 Memorial wasn't too far. The courthouses, so we wanted to walk by those because of Law and Order and Blue Bloods and all the shows that we've ever seen that have New York courthouses. That was all in that vicinity. And then not too far from that was Canal Street with Chinatown and Little Italy and shopping over there. So we tried to map out our days based on that, and also didn't try to plan more than one big attraction a day. Going back, we probably could plan 2, and that's why I said we could have done a day less of our trip, or even 2 days less if we had done 2 big things a day like that, that we were paying for. And but it's a lot of walking, and we were really tired, so it's kind of good that we spaced out some time to chill. Okay, so after mapping it out, number 3, you need to plan your hotel. Do you want to be right in the middle of everything, right near Times Square? Do you want to be a little bit further out so it's not as chaotic? Or do you want to be even further, like in New Jersey, and save some money? So there's a lot of things to look at. We decided we wanted to be right in the center, in the middle of it all, so it was easy access to lots of things. When I researched hotels like crazy, I wanted a feel of a hotel that felt like we were in New York. We looked up the Plaza from Home Alone, and we cannot afford the Plaza for the amount of days we were going to go. We probably would have had to save up a little longer, and we wanted a hotel that, number 1, was safe, number 2, was close to everything, and number 3, had some character. So I didn't want to go to like a typical chain like Holiday Inn, La Quinta. There's some of those that like Courtyard Marriott, that we would book typically if we were traveling in Florida somewhere familiar. But I just felt like for this iconic New York trip, I wanted a place that had some history, something that was different. And so we chose the Hotel Edison that has been seen in different movies. It was pretty spectacular, and it didn't break the bank. And I'll tell you my number 1 reason why I chose this hotel, besides just safety and close proximity, is we had space. And space is insane in New York. To find a place that had space that didn't break the bank. We could have booked a Holiday Inn or something around the corner that didn't have this amount of space. And I don't know if it's because it's not a well-known chain of hotels, if that's why, but we were on the top floor, and we had a living room with a pull-out couch, and they brought a rollaway bed for my son. So the kids had their own beds, and then we were in a separate room. So we had, I think it was like 400 something square feet. We all shared a bathroom, which was in the master bedroom, and our bed was a king. So that felt so luxurious, and to be honest, was necessary, because when we were sightseeing, we're holding our kids close because New York's very busy, and there's some questionable characters that we were like holding our kids close to us. But when we got back, it was nice to like have a little bit of room, because I have a 12 and 15-year-old, and it's just nice to not be in each other's faces all the time. If you're a mom, you feel me. Okay, so that's where we chose. And Hotel Edison was around the corner of Times Square. It wasn't right in the very center of it with all the lights, but it was walking distance that we could still hear some of the noise, and very close that we could get pizza and coffee any time of day. It was all right there. Okay, number 4 is flights. You've got to figure out, if you're not driving distance, which we're 17 hours away being in Florida, I was definitely not going to be flying to or driving to New York. I did that drive from Canada multiple times to Florida, and it's 24 hours, and it's not an enjoyable experience for this girl. So I was thinking we definitely want to fly. So you can go to LaGuardia, JFK, or New Jersey. And the research I found was LaGuardia is most people's favorite airport, but all of them are amazing, and they're all about the same distance, not that much more to get to where you're going. So just find the cheapest flight. So we did. The cheapest flight for us was out of LaGuardia, and then we number 5 is talking all things transportation. So you've got to figure out how you're going to get around. And so what's leading me into this is how are you going to get from the airport to your hotel? I looked up the cheapest way, and it involved trains or buses or subway. And I just felt we're not familiar. What if there's weather? Because we're going in November, and I just wanted to make sure that we got there safely and felt very confident where we were going. So we booked an Uber, a big black SUV, really nice both ways, coming from the airport. So they came and picked us up. And then also at 3 a.m. the day we were leaving to get us to the airport in time. And it was phenomenal. We felt very safe and clean, and not trying to figure it out with the subway with our suitcases and everything like that. So that getting around the city, there is a lot of different ways. The primarily mode of transportation for us was walking. We wore our best running shoes. We are avid Disney goers. We do lots and lots of steps at Disney, like 20,000 steps a day. This is comparable. It was a lot. We were exhausted, but it's also chilly. So you have your coat and mittens and gloves and all those things. And our feet were really tired, and there's no pool to go back to go swim, or hot tub. It was, just our hotel room. So we would rest our feet. We also use the subway, and it's $2.75 to get anywhere. And there is an app on your phone that you can download called City Mapper. Very, very helpful and made it seamless. I will link the videos to using the subway that helped me figure it out, that made me not as nervous or scared. We made sure we only went during the daytime. In fact, only like in the morning, early afternoon. And then we just were aware of our surroundings and our stuff and people around us, and stuck together and paid attention to our stops, and we were fine. The other is Uber, which we used the first couple days, and it gets pricey quick, but and it also can take longer than the subway and can take longer than walking. It's faster sometimes for us to get out of the car. But when we went to the Statue of Liberty, and when we traveled from Canal Street back to our hotel, we did the Uber because it was just far. Okay, lastly, before we get into the itinerary, let's talk about food. So I did a lot of planning of what we were going to do when, the locations of things in Manhattan, our hotel. And then with food, I knew what was high on our list was grab and go New York pizza, hot dogs, bagels with cream cheese, coffee shops. And I didn't want to overplan. I wanted to just stumble upon those gems that were going to be incredible. We did plan to go to the diner from Seinfeld. So that was one of the things that we wanted to do. But we didn't plan any elaborate sit-down meals. And if I could go back, I probably would have planned a little bit more with food on each location where we were at, so we could have found the best place instead of just getting really hungry and having to eat what was in the vicinity of where we were, because we didn't always have the best. And I feel like there was a lot better food in New York that we could have had. So we did have incredible pizza. We did have incredible bagels. We did have really good hot dogs. But I think we could have done better in that area, because I really didn't want to overplan. I didn't want to feel like, oh, we have to be here. We have to be here. I wanted some of it to just feel organic and like us just discover New York on our own. But I wish I had planned that a little bit more. So maybe be mindful of what places are really cool to eat at, or that are well known and reasons why, and check it out. We did go to the Magnolia Bakery. That was really yummy. We went to some incredible bagel places that were really yummy, but plan your food. Okay, now let's get into the itinerary. So we flew in on a Sunday and we flew home on a Friday. Sunday, I planned nothing because I knew it was gonna be travel day. I know my kids were gonna be exhausted. We got up at 2:30. Our flight was at 6. Then when we got to Washington, it was delayed. And so when we arrived in New York, it was 2-3 hours beyond when we thought we were going to. So the plan was just to walk to Times Square from our hotel once we arrived, and then walk around, look in some of the shops, get some of the souvenirs we already wanted from the Disney store and the New York shops, and then get something to eat. So we got some New York pizza that first night. Incredible. So that was night one. I wanted us all to get to bed nice and early, so that way we would be ready for our first day. So day one, like official day one, once a full day, waking up and going to sleep, what I wanted to do was plan our furthest item first. So I planned to go to, since we were staying up in Times Square, we planned to do Statue of Liberty first thing in the morning. And I booked most of our experiences first thing. And I found with New York is that it's like the song goes, the city that never sleeps. Everyone stays up really late. Our family functions better doing things in the morning, and then we crash in the afternoon, evening, and then do it again. And what I'm finding is that New York was less busy first thing in the morning, just like Disney is, something we're really used to, is we go really early in the morning and it gets really crowded come midday. Same thing with New York and the touristy traps as we did them. So we did Statue of Liberty. You have to book Statue of Liberty through, and I'll put the links to where you book it. All of the things that we booked ahead of time, and they were timed. And I think that's a new thing since COVID. So we booked Statue of Liberty. We took a cruise over, and it cruised from Battery Park to the Statue of Liberty, and then after that, Ellis Island. And we did the pedestal reserve, where we walked 196 steps up to the pedestal reserve, and we had to go through a lot of security, and then you go down. You could not take a backpack, but my purse was okay. So my husband had to do a locker for his backpack before he could go in the pedestal reserve. It was really chilly on the water, so we were bundled up really nice and warm. And then we went to Ellis Island, and they had a cafeteria there, and so we ate very overpriced food at Ellis Island for our meal. After that, we walked to the 9/11 Memorial, and they have a museum there. And my husband and I, lived through 9/11. We, weren't in New York or anything like that. And we did, we went there and paid our respects, and it was extremely moving. And it was tough. I'm so glad I went, and I think they did an incredible job at the 9/11 Memorial, but we decided to spare our hearts more turmoil and go to the museum. I just don't think we could handle that, so we didn't do that. We did walk from there to Brooklyn Bridge, and there was lots of things you could buy and things on the side of the street, like pens and, New York merchandise. We bought that stuff. Walked the Brooklyn Bridge, and then from there, our feet were very tired, but we walked to Canal Street for Chinatown and some shopping for the kids. And we were tired, and it was, I'd say about 3:00, and we were all done, like done for the day, done. And we called an Uber, and it felt like it was taking a long time to arrive. We witnessed some shoplifting, first day in New York, and a shop owner chasing him down the street, and some very questionable characters on the side of the road. So we started just walking in the direction of Times Square, and then requesting an Uber to come get us. And we went back to our hotel, and we actually dined in our hotel at Hotel Edison at Friedman's. That was an incredible meal. Everything's very expensive in New York when it comes to food, so it was a pricey meal, but it was delicious and hearty. We wanted like burgers, and I got a veggie burger, and they had sweet potato fries, and it was delicious. So we did that. Our next day was my absolute favorite day of the trip. Tuesday, we went to Rockefeller Center. I loved Rockefeller Center. I loved being there. I loved the energy. It was so pretty. I loved checking out the Today Show. We saw them filming. We went to the Magnolia Bakery that was there and had the best banana pudding of your life. And I watched that on YouTube videos, so I was prepared for that. We went ice skating in Rockefeller Center, and we pre-booked the time online first thing in the morning, and we were the first skate, and it was magical. It felt like we were in a Disney romantic comedy movie. It felt incredible. The only downside was the Rockefeller Christmas tree being on Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. It still had scaffolding all around it for them to decorate. So that was a little bit of a bummer, I'd say, because I really wanted to see the tree, and I knew it wasn't going to be lit until the week after Thanksgiving. However, it is what it is. So we went to St. Patrick's Cathedral while we were over there. Unbelievable. Found out that my aunt's parents got married there, and it was pretty special. We prayed as a family, and I'd love to learn more about St. Patrick's Cathedral. I wish I had learned more before we went, but definitely want to research some more. And then we went shopping on Fifth Avenue. So my birthday was the week prior, and I I told my husband, all I want to do is to go into a Louis Vuitton. I have Louis Vuittons, but I've purchased them pre-loved. And then also my husband bought me a Louis Vuitton for my 40th birthday, like not pre-loved. That was my first one, not. And I said, I just want to go in. I want to try on all the things that my heart desires. And then I wanted to get a wallet. So we did that. We went to Louis Vuitton and it was what dreams were made of. I loved it. And they also had Tiffany's there. So I got a bracelet at Tiffany's. And those can go very, very expensive very quickly. So I got a silver bracelet, researched it ahead of time, and found some New York groups on Facebook to help with some of this planning. And so they suggested looking things up ahead of time. So when you get there, you can say what you're looking for and then they can bring it out. And it's not like, where's your cheapest items you have? It's like, okay, where are the silver bracelets so you can look. So that was magical. I just loved feeling like a princess in the stores. And there's more. There's tons of shops on Fifth Avenue. So whatever your heart desires is there. It's pretty cool. All right. So Wednesday was an incredible day too. I guess they all are incredible, but Wednesday we went to the Museum of Natural History, and it's the first day that we ventured out on the subway. So we were going uptown, and it was going to be too long of a walk, like hour and a half or something like that from where our hotel was. So we went to the Museum of Natural History, took the subway, was seamless, $2.75 a person, as I mentioned earlier. Got out of the subway, and when we got in line for the museum, first entrance, again, booked our tickets first thing, huge line. They were assembling the parade for Macy's and the balloons right next to the museum because the museum's right in front of Central Park, and that's where the parade starts. Unbelievable. I got to see the Disney Wish being put together, the peacock that Mario Lopez was on. There was an alligator float that was for New Orleans. I mean, we got to see them all being assembled, and it was out of this world because we've never done this. It was so cool to see. So even if we didn't do the museum, we were planning on seeing those floats being put together. It was awesome. Got into the museum, and it is 4 floors and a lot of walking, and the dinosaurs were our family's favorite by far. We love that. We're huge Jurassic Park fans, so seeing all the dinosaur bones, my kids were like in awe. It was pretty incredible. And then we were hungry for a snack, so we went to their cafe or cafeteria. So expensive. A can of soda was $5. I told the family, no. They wouldn't even give you a cup for water there. So thank goodness we had a bottle of water in our backpack. So we had that, but we got some snacks there to hold us over. And then after the museum, we took the subway to the diner that's in Seinfeld. And so we had to go even more uptown, and we had to get to the subway. We got rerouted around the parade. So we had to do quite a bit of walking to get back to where the subway was because the crowds are crazy for the parade. Everyone's there. Got on the subway, went to the diner. It was pretty cool. It felt like we were in real New York, not like touristy New York when we went. And I can't tell you exactly where it is. You got to look it up where the diner is. I just followed the instructions on the City Mapper app for the subway. Diner is exactly what it looks like on the outside, and on the inside, nothing like it, because I've heard they filmed on a soundstage I think in California. So I got pictures of Jerry's salad. I ordered a big salad. We're huge Seinfeld fans. I got my husband a shirt from the diner while we were there. I ordered a big salad, and we sat at the counter. And so it was just so much fun. And it was really good diner food. It was pretty awesome. After that, we took the subway to Tavern on the Green, which is a restaurant there in Central Park. We weren't planning on dining there. It's where celebrities and very high-end people go and dine. It'd be pretty cool to dine there at some point, but I just didn't want to do that on this trip. But we took the subway there so we could walk through Central Park, and it was exactly how I thought it was going to be, like in the movies. We saw spots from Home Alone and Elf, and where it looks like Phoebe and Rachel are running in Friends. And so it just felt just like it. Dogs, people, carriage rides, pedicabs, runners, hot dog carts, playgrounds, children. It was beautiful. I loved it. If I could go back, I'd spend more time in Central Park. So we went back to Louis Vuitton to pick up my wallet from being heat stamped, and that was pretty special. We went to the Lego store for the kids to go, and then we went back to chill in our room for a little bit because at night we were going to see our Broadway show, Aladdin. And when we bought tickets, super pricey, most expensive thing we did on the trip. And we got balcony seats, but I got balcony seats that were the front row of the balcony. So there was the main floor, the mezzanine, and then so orchestra, mezzanine, and then we were balcony, and I got the front row. So we had incredible view with no heads in front of us. And so it was spectacular. didn't bring candy with us. We bought 3 little packs of candy that you could get at the dollar store, and it was $18. So live and learn, but it was nice to have a little something for the family, you know, just to have candy while you're sitting there. And it was an incredible show. Unbelievable. It was worth every single penny. Every second we were there, we were blown away. Our last day, full day, was Thanksgiving Day. We went to bed really late the night before because after the show we got dinner. We ordered Italian pasta and pizza and had it sent up to the room from one of the restaurants downstairs. And we got up and headed to the parade. We did not scout out a spot first thing in the morning. I watched lots of videos on that of how chilly it is. You need a portable chair, access to a bathroom, and you could get a front row seat at like 6 in the morning. Well, our hotel was 2 blocks away from the parade. Decided to walk, and the streets are all blocked off for the parade. So what was really neat is we were in between 2 buildings, and so there was lots of room on this street with the parade going by here, and so we didn't need to be front row. We could see every balloon and every float from where we were standing, and we were far enough back but then also not crowded with a lot of people around us, and that was enough for us. But again, prioritizing those priorities, that you probably wouldn't go to a Broadway show the night before and stay up really late if you wanted to get a spot at 6 a.m. the next morning, or you can, you know, burn the candle at both ends and you're fine. But my family's definitely not. So we enjoyed that, just taking our time. And then we saw all the floats. And then once Santa came at the end, we headed back to our hotel, got a coffee, and watched the parade from our room, which is totally different on TV because it's right in front of Macy's and you have to have VIP only to be able to sit there. So we watched the rest of the parade, and it was an hour behind from where we were at Times Square to get to Macy's, and then watched all the shows and everything. And so that was pretty cool. The rest of Thanksgiving Day, we walked to Grand Central Station. A lot of restaurants and almost all the shops in Fifth Avenue and everywhere we went were closed. We walked by the Rockefeller skating, and the line was wrapped around the whole skating rink and down the street. So we were really glad we did it the day before. We went to Grand Central Station, and that was pretty breathtaking to be in there. We definitely could have spent more time there. And then we went to the Empire State Building for our grand finale. I booked it for nighttime because I was really debating between, do we want to see New York during the day or at night? Well, every day we were touring during the day, so I thought, let's go see it at night as our big grand finale. And so we went up to Empire State Building, the very top, and saw the city at night, and it was spectacular. So the next morning we left at like 3 in the morning. It was incredible. If you have any questions at all, I'd be happy to answer from a first-time New Yorker, New York goer, and I would share with you all the scoop. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.